Hello, I'm glad to see you visiting back in my shop today. First of all, I want to answer a few questions that people have asked me, email from time to time. The basic reason I'm doing the videos is not for money. I don't make a thing off of YouTube, but it's so I can get more people maybe interested in doing segmented turning, and especially open segmented turning, and to impart what little knowledge I have if I can. And not enough people have been subscribing. If nobody's watching the videos, I don't have any incentive to do them. So if more people would subscribe, the more incentive I'd have to make more videos, knowing that there's actually people watching. And not only that, I'm not going to try and sell anything. I represent no industry, nobody, no shop, nothing. So with all that said, I would appreciate if people would subscribe, because that would show me that somebody is watching. Today, what I'm going to be doing is making the basic bowl. Probably the easiest segmented turning there is. I'm going to make them 6 of them all in one run. That'll save a little bit of time. Cutting the segmented rings, I'll make all the rings the same diameter so I can cut them all at once and glue them and flatten them all at once. And with Christmas coming up, this is a good little project. But like that I said, they're all basically the same, and yet each and every one is different. Just a little bit different shape, or of course different woods. I'm using 6 woods to do these. I'm using Padu, Yellow Heart, Bacote, Bubinga, Bloodwood, and Purple Heart. Now I know the Purple Heart, the Bloodwood, and the Padu don't look quite the right colors. The lights in this shop's got too much blue and not enough red, so things don't really look the right colors in here. But with that said, let's get started with this project and see if we can turn out 6 basic bowls. I need to make some small bowls, real small bowls. I need a bunch of them. And what I'm going to do is make some from different woods. They're going to be solid bowls. Only going to be 3 rings on them and a solid bottom. And like I said, I'm going to make them from different woods. So first thing I'm going to do is cut the bottoms for all of them. I'm going to make them in assembly line type. I'm going to make all the bottoms first, and then I'm going to cut the segments for the first ring for all of them at one time, glue them all up and flatten them. Then I'll do the other rings the same way, cut them all. Once I set the table saw up, just cut all the segments for all of them at one time. So first thing I'm going to do is get started cutting the base, and I'm going to use basically this outline right here. This is half a turning. I'm going to use a 5-inch base, then I'm going to bring it out and back in a little bit. So I'm going to start by cutting some 5-inch square pieces for all the bases. I've got them all cut now square. And I've got one of Bacote also. I forgot to mention that. So I got 6 of them actually, all different woods, cut. And I'm going to do, mount them in the coal jaws. I'm going to cut a mortise right here in them. And I'm going to cut a ring around the edge, make it easy just to bounce all the corners off. And the mortise I'm cutting in is going to fit my big chuck right here. So I'm going to cut them all, cut a mortise in all of them, put a circle around them to cut the corners off, and I'm going to bandsaw them. All 6 bottom pieces now have been cut with a mortise, and I got a guide around here to cut with a bandsaw. So I'm ready to bandsaw all 6 of these. That's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to bandsaw all 6, and then I'll start putting them on the chuck and getting the bottom ready. All 6 now are ready to go onto the chuck. After I put them on the chuck, I'm going to turn them around. I'm going to dish out the center. And I'm going to make a flat spot on the edge here, all around. Turn it flat, sand it flat with a sanding block, and get it ready for the first segment. And when I put them on the chuck, I'm going to put a mark that corresponds to a mark on the chuck so that I'll know where to put them back after I take them off one time. So after being turned around, dished out, the edge turned flat, now I have to put chalk on the edge all the way around. Take the sanding board and make sure they're absolutely flat. Sand it till the chalk is gone. Okay, now I know it's flat and ready for the first ring. That's what I'm going to do to the rest of the other 5. Same thing. I got all 6 of them ready. Put the first ring on. I'll turn the inside some more after I get the first ring on. But I got them all ready, flat and sanded. Now the first ring, because of the extreme angle through it, it's going to have to be cut from 1¼ inch stock. So I'm going to have to make some 1¼ inch stock for all of these for the first ring. So I'm going to cut the first rings for all of them at one time. And I'm going to make them 6 inch or 6¼ inch. I'm going to have to measure these real careful again. Some of these are a little bit smaller than 5 inch. After I turn them around, they're about 4 3/4 inches. So I think probably 6¼ inch. It's 16 segments per ring. That's 1.2432 cut length. So first I'm going to make some stock, and then I'm going to cut all the segments all at one time for all 6 rings. Then I'm going to start gluing up rings. I've got segments cut now for 6 rings, 1 of each wood. I got them sanded, ready to glue up. I got one of them, this happens to be Purple Heart. Dry clamp, make sure the joints are all tight. It's time now, I'm going to start gluing them up. Okay, I've got the glue on it, clamping it up right now. Keep it flat, put it between the top and bottom clamps, and tighten down the ring clamp. That should be tight enough. Okay, one ring glued up, 5 more to go. I got all 6 rings glued up now. I'm going to start turning one side flat and sanding it on each ring, just one side. Then I'll be able to start gluing them onto the bottoms. When I glue them onto the bottoms, I'm only going to let them clamp on for about 5 minutes. Then I'll take them off, set them aside, glue the next one up. After I get all 6 of them glued on like that, then I'm going to take the first one and start turning the inside. But anyway, right now, I'm going to flatten and sand one side of each ring. I got all 6 rings turned, sanded flat. I'm going to start gluing them on the base. Now I'm going to clamp them up. I'm only going to let them set no more than 5 minutes. Then I'll pull them off, set them aside, put the next one up. After I get them all glued on, the first one that I glued will be way over 15 minutes, so I can start turning on it. And I'll turn the inside and flatten the other side of the ring, of course. So I'm going to go ahead, get started, and glue them all up. Like I said, I'm not going to let them clamp too long. This is solid bottom, so the alignment don't make any difference where it's at. Go ahead and spread the glue some. Tighten it down. We'll let her set for about 5 minutes, and I'll pull it off, put the next one up. I got all the rings glued on now. Going to put them back on the chuck. Turn the outside of the rings flat and sand them, and start turning the inside. Finish turning the bottom, turn it into the first ring some. Now, the stock I'm using to make these is all different thicknesses. It's not all the same. This Paduke's pretty thick. The Cody ain't that thick. Some of the others aren't that thick. Purple Heart's pretty thick, which means that they're a different height, which is good. It's what I want. I don't want them all to end up the same. And I cut these rings wide enough to give me some flexibility. So each one will be a little bit different, is what I want, really. And you know, these things are great with Christmas coming up. You can send them to people that you have to send a present to, but you really don't want to spend no money on them. Like your Aunt Zelda out in Kansas, or your cousin Rochelle in New York. So these things are great for that. Of course, I'm gonna put these in the show. I need just some little filler pieces for the show. So I'm going to go ahead and put them back on the lathe now. Flatten the outer ring here, flatten the ring, and just start turning the bottom into the first ring a little bit. Okay, got all the rings flattened, got the insides turned into the first ring, the bottom turned into the first ring. Getting ready to turn the second ring, and the second ring is going to be 6 3/4, and it's only going to need to be about an inch material. Actually, I could probably get away with 3/4, but I'm going to give it an inch. Give me some room. Now to turn the inside, turn the bottom into the inside here, what I used was a round carbide bit on a round shaft. I brought it in at a bit of a shear angle. I just sharpened this carbide bit, and it cut good, cut really good. I know manufacturers say you can't sharpen them, but indeed you can. Poor boy like me, it's just too expensive to be buying a new one every time. And it don't take long to sharpen, it just takes a few seconds. Actually, it takes longer to get it off the tool than it does to sharpen it. So, I'm going to be cutting some 1-inch material now, and we're going to be making a second ring for all of them. So I'm just going to cut all 6 rings at once like before and glue them all up same way I did before. Flatten them all and then glue them all on. Then we'll only have 1 ring to go after that. Second rings have been glued, turned and flattened. Time to glue them on to the turnings. Just remember when I glue them on to make the joints brick-laid so you get that good long joint, long grain glue up across the joint. Then just glue them on like the first, let them set for a few minutes. Unclamp them, put them aside for at least 15 minutes. Basically nothing to it. Spread the glue around a little bit. Make sure it's spread out everywhere. Tighten it down just a bit. Oh yeah, that spreads it out good. Now get the joints brick-laid. Tighten her down a little. Let her set for just a bit. Okay, right now I've got the second ring on all of them. Every one of them. Yeah. This, of course, is just the basic bowl, the easiest of all segmented turnings. And I want to stay flexible with them. The ones made of the thicker material, I think I'm going to stop right here with 2 rings on it. I think that's big enough. You know, I don't want to get carried away with these cheap bowls. But the thinner ones, I think I'm going to add 1 more ring. And I'm going to make it the same size as the last ring. I don't want to get too fancy with these. So I'm going to go ahead and make 3 more rings for the 3 smaller ones, the Pacote, the Bloodwood, and the Bubinga. Now the Paduk, the Purple Heart, and the Yellow Heart are all made from thicker material, so I'm just going to let them go. Finish turning them after I get the 3 rings on the others. So I'm going to go ahead and make 3 rings and flatten them up and glue them on. All 6 of them are glued up now. I've started turning the insides of all of them. I'm going to finish turning the inside. I'm going to turn the outside. Sand both the inside and outside. Take it through all the grits. Take it through all the Scotch-Brite pads. Finish them. And after I get all 6 of them done, I'm going to reverse all 6 of them at one time. One after another, of course. And to do this, I'm going to be using a combination of carbide on round shafts and the Olin tool. Well, I've sanded it all the way through 800 grit. Then I used all 4 Scotch-Brite pads on it. You can see it's smooth and shiny now. What I'm going to do now is put some friction polish on it. Homemade friction polish. After I put the friction polish on it, I'll set it aside. I'll do the rest of them. I'll come back and put some more friction polish on it after I've done the rest of them. So I'm going to just put some friction polish on this. You gotta, when you put it on, you gotta rub it until it burns your fingers. That should be enough now to burn it in. Get it hot. It's getting hot now. Getting good and hot. You can see how it hardens up even on paper. Okay, it's been turned, sanded, and I put friction polish on it. Now when I sanded this one, I had some tear out. I used 80 grit on it. 80 grit's a good valid tool, that's what it's for. After I used the 80 grit to take the tear out, then I went to 100 grit and on up all the way through 400, just a couple of passes with each one. No need wearing them out, it ain't hard. Just a couple of passes, all the way up to 400. I sprayed it with water. When it dried, I went with 400 all the way up to 800. Then I used the Scotch-Brite pads on it. And it was plenty smooth then. Then I put on the friction polish. Now the friction polish I use is shellac and boiled linseed oil. But I don't use 1/3 boiled linseed oil. I use about 10%. I explained that in one of my other videos on this channel. And I put it on and rubbed it till it burnt my fingers. So now what I'm going to do is put some Canubra wax on them. And when I put Canubra wax on, I'm going to put the wax on and I'm going to rub it out using a piece of the highest Scotch-Brite pad. Let me get it out. Canubra wax, hard. Piece of the finest Scotch-Brite pad. Starting to get loaded with wax now, is what I want. Rub me some wax on. Turn it down a little bit now. Now rub it out with this. Right where the wax is building up. Rub it till it gets hot. Now, is that shiny enough? Now all I got left to do is turn the bottoms. We got 6 bowls now. The insides have been turned, sand, finished, even waxed. And the outside, same way. Now I've got to turn the bottoms on every one of them. Now I'm going to put them on the coal jaws and bring up the tailstock to do that. Being as how I made these also they curve in, I'm going to hold them from the inside. I'm going to use the coal jaws with the tapered pins. I'm just going to tape them, put them over it, hold it, and bring up the tailstock. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the lathe and tape the rims off and start turning the bottoms. I've got the edge taped with blue painter's tape. Got it mounted on the coal jaws. Got the tailstock brought up. I like to turn between centers whenever I can. So I'm going to start turning the bottoms of them. Basically using the same tools I turned the rest of it with. And I'm going to sand it and finish it in the same way. Well, there you have it. I got 6 bowls, all turned, all finished. It didn't take too long. Dulled a few tools, had to resharpen them, that's for sure. Be surprised how fast Bacote and Purple Heart will dull a tool. And I hope you got something from this video. And I appreciate you watching. And I really appreciate those who subscribe. Like I said earlier, the more people that subscribe, the more I'll know that people are actually watching the videos and maybe getting something out of them. So I thank you for watching, and please come back and see my next video. Thank you.